folks, there's a lot to cover in this video, so got like 3 different subjects and all sorts of crazy, stupid crap to do here. So hopefully do it quickly and efficiently. But here we are at Las Vegas Central here in my basement. Got a few new items to scan over here. This was a real killer. Look at this. I actually found an autographed photo from George Burns, and it's made out to my name. How about that? Huh? Not too bad. And behind there, you can see I put this poster up. It's a aerial photo of Las Vegas Strip. It looks like the southern portion of the Strip. And we'll go over this later, but I think this is from the 90s. So without getting into too much detail, you can see a lot of the construction that was happening during a key era of the growth of Las Vegas. So that'll be very useful later on during our quizzes and informative little snippets about the history of the place. So we got that. We're also going to be using a series of maps. Here's one of the maps I recently acquired. This is 1985. So you can see what was there in the 80s. Most of the stuff from the old days was still there. And that was one of my favorite eras because that was the first time I went to Vegas. Besides when I went as an 8-year-old kid in 1972 on a road trip with my parents and my family. So there's a bunch of new stuff that we acquired in this packet. I'm going to show you a couple of them. This one is just a killer. We got a Sahara photo folder. We have a whole bunch of these photo folders. And that one's great because it's got Don the Beachcomber dead center. That's, we're heavily into the TIKI stuff, as you can see. So that's a cool location. That's a lot of the Sahara is still there, but that in particular is gone. It's been gone for quite a while. But look who's in the photo. They have usually families and couples and groups eating dinner, but this one's got a certain someone that some of you older folks like me will recognize. Who loves you, baby? Who loves you, baby? That's Telly with some woman. We would love to get the story on that. We might even be doing a series of fictional scenarios with like illegitimate children of celebrities just as a fun, stupid thing to do. You're going to see another cool thing here. Here's a table, whatever they call these, table tent. It's a combination postcard or whatever, and it's the name of your guest at the table. And it's got Louis Prima and Keely Smith, which is legendary stuff. That's legendary Vegas stuff right there. And what came with it was this giant postcard from the Flamingo, and that's obviously like early 50s with Jack Carter and Peggy Lee. And look on the back here, we got signed by both Peggy Lee and Keely Smith, who's right there on this other thing we got. So they kind of tie together. Keely Smith recently passed away. She was a legend of Vegas. Her and Louis Prima were the first successful lounge act on the Strip, and people would come in droves to see them perform in the Casbar Theater. So that's cool stuff. We got a few more things like that. A whole bunch of new postcards that came in. Some really good ones here. We'll go over the good stuff later, but we also got a magazine from, what's the year on this? 1968, Inside Las Vegas. What Howard Hughes is up to now. That's when Howard Hughes was buying up. He was trying to buy up the whole Strip, but I think they had some antitrust stuff stop him before he could. But he owned Castaways, Sands, Desert Inn, I think. He owned, it escapes me at the moment, but I know all this stuff. Trust me, I know this stuff. But he owned a bunch of properties. He owned the Landmark. And here's another one we got. And this is another, at least our second autographed photo of Robert Urich as Dan Tana. There's other ones out there, but we don't want Spencer for hire. We want Dan Tana from Vegas. He even signed it with Vegas on there with the $sign. And there's a surprise inside here that we'll go over next time, but I don't want to run too long tonight. I just want to make a few comments on Led Zeppelin, because I've got a pretty good history with Zeppelin. And Zeppelin, I just watched their documentary, Becoming Led Zeppelin, and it was a fascinating thing to watch. Because as a kid in the 70s, I grew up listening to that stuff, and I was a huge Zeppelin fan during like junior high school, and actually was lucky enough to go see them. They played the Fabulous Forum in Los Angeles 6 nights, and we got to see 2 of those nights in 1977. So 3-hour concert, no opening band, Zeppelin just out there doing, the solos, the violin bow, in a laser pyramid, the whole thing, man. It was just amazing. So just seeing that documentary really got me thinking about that. And we are going to be featuring a lot of the, the bands that toured and came through Vegas. And, a lot of them played at the Aladdin and other locations out there at the convention center. So we're gonna definitely be focusing on that kind of stuff, because I was a kid and I grew up going to all these concerts, and a lot of the tours I saw came through Vegas and LA around the same time. So anyway, jumping off that from Zeppelin to a little bit of Tiki stuff, we got a new Tiki mug here. This is a special issue put out by Katiki, and it was, I mentioned the Castaways a minute ago, which Howard Hughes owned, which was torn down to make room, I think, for the Mirage in the early 90s. But this is a replica of one of the Moai that was out front of Castaways. So that's really cool that they did these. They came out in a few different finishes, but I like this one the best, the satin finish. Let's get him under the light so you can really see the finish on that. A beautiful piece here. So that fits right in with our Vegas Tiki collection, which is growing, because the more we unbox, the more we'll have of this collection. And I'm also always collecting this stuff. I continue to buy select items when I find them for a good price. So anyway, there's a lot of new stuff here in the Vegas sector, but I'm not going into much detail on that today. The other reason we're here is for this. Okay, this is something I did a couple of months back, where I unboxed a Stratocaster style guitar, and I had high hopes for it. It was made by Ashthorpe, and it turned out to be a lemon and nightmare piece of crap, because the strings were not lined up with the neck and the pickups, and the high E was hanging off the bottom of the neck. So we're gonna take this new one out here. This is another Strat, but it's supposedly a little better. And it's also a semi-hollow body, so it's going to be interesting to see this one. I've never owned a guitar like this before, and this is going to come in handy with the band I'm forming right now. So I'm going to pause this and come back to that. All right, so here we go. I got this up on the operating table here. The old knife out and open her up and see what we got. Okay, this is made by Cozart. This is a, they call it a thin line Strat style. Whoops. And it's got the F hole and everything. Look at this, double boxed. I'm already impressed. Double boxed, people. Here we go. Anything's better than what I got the last time. Here's your standard gig bag with the brand on it. It feels like it actually has a little bit of padding on it, which is a... Here she is, man. Let's see what kind of... Oh, wow. Look at that. Man, come on already. Jesus. All right. So there she is. Beautiful finish on there. Nice multi-colored. Look at the back. It's a whole different color wood. Looks like real wood from here. Got a little scuff on the back. I know I didn't do it. Strings are very loose. Got a lot of schmutz. Got some powdery schmutz on here. But you know, that'll get all cleaned up when I pull these crappy strings off. And I can tell you right now that at least the strings line up. Look at that. You know, you're not pulling this down. You're not hitting this and it's falling off the edge like it was on the other one, the Ashthorpe. And they didn't really seem to care about my concerns, so I'm definitely going to be bad-mouthing that company for a while here. That was a painful experience. I do see a lot of little blemishes. I don't know if those are going to rub out or not. We'll see. I'm not that worried about it, but as long as this thing's good enough to modify and make into what I need. It does have a whammy, which is one of my prerequisites because we're doing like a twangy kind of country cover band type, not country, but like Americana, like, you know, cool stuff. Nothing to do with modern country, I'll tell you that much. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. I'll put a link to our band mix website on the video. But there it is. There's the guitar. It looks, you know, I'm pretty impressed. It looks like it's been banged around a little bit. I might have to mention that to them and see what the fuck's going on. Watch the language. And for now, I'm going to put it back in here. It's like the styrofoam has seen better days too. This should have been probably over here, huh? Like that. And I'll put the puzzle together. But it looks like it survived, so I don't know. I will be back with an update once I get this thing playable and see what I think of it. Switch feels nice. Pots feel all right. We'll see. Definitely in tune, huh, folks? All right. So we'll be back with more on that. So we got the Zeppelin, we got the Vegas, and we got the guitar. We'll be back with an update. Thanks.